Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
नाम संकीर्तन की
जय।
We'll start with the prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manomishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sham Rupadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shriuta Padgamnam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunvadi Pasat Desatarane Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. So we are supposed to from text number 36 today. As far as I remember. Somebody can confirm it is 35 or 36?
36.
It seems devotees have forgotten.
35 Hare Krishna Prabhu. 35 completed Prabhu.
No. So it is 36 only, 3.36. So in text number 35, Krishna speaks how one should work according to one's nature. And one should not work or one should not be worried about others' duty. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now, I think there was some problem with my system. So one should not worry about others' duty. One should do what is according to one's nature. So even if somebody is expert in something which is not according to one's nature, still one should do things according to one's nature. Because nature is extremely powerful and it forces a person to do those things even he doesn't want to do. So there are certain exceptions for that, and that is Vishwamitra Muni and Parasuram. So these people are exceptions because Vishwamitra was a king, later on turned into a Brahmana, and Parasuram was a Brahmana and did the work of a Kshatriya. So then such cases are exceptional, they are not in general. They had to do a lot of tapasya. Parasuram is Supreme Lord, and Vishwamitra had to do a lot of tapasya in order to become Brahma Rishi. So we find the whole episode which comes in Ramayana about how he became Brahma Rishi. So then Arjuna thinks, my God, this nature is extremely powerful. At the same time, he also understands that not just nature of work is powerful. Even conditioned nature, which leads a person to commit sin, is also very, very powerful. So that is why he asked question number 36. Sorry, text number 36. He asked question in text number 36. Arjuna vacha atakene parayaktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan abhivashneya balad iviniyojitaha. Please read the translation.
Arjuna said, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?
So what he says is, like in text number 34, Krishna was talking about rag and this, rag degi vyavasthito. He says, Arjuna says that there is an attachment to sense objects that is literally called or practically called as kam or lust. So desire to enjoy even what we say unlawfully according to against the scriptures. So there are a lot of things that are forbidden by the scriptures. Still a person is many times forced to do those things. So desire for such objects is so strong that it seems as if it is some force is there. So what is the cause of that force? And then Krishna starts answering in the next text onwards. So these texts 37 onwards, they start dealing with the topic of lust. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamesa Krodesa Rajogun Samudbhava Mahasano Mahapapma Vidhinam Ihavarinam. Please read the translation.
The blessed Lord said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all devouring sinful enemy of the world, of this world.
So Krishna says that Kam Esa Krodesa Rajogod Samudbhava. So passion leads to lust. So three modes of material nature are there: goodness, passion, ignorance. Goodness leads to enlightenment. Passion leads to lust. So because of passion, lust is there, and whenever lust is obstructed, then there is anger which arises. So if a person obstructs the lust, he becomes the object of anger. And if certain circumstances obstruct the lust, we become angry towards those circumstances. So again, this lust is not just attraction between male and female, it is desire for sense objects. The desire for any sense object, whether gross or subtle. Many times things are subtle also. Subtle in the sense that we seek certain emotional satisfaction from someone. If you don't get that, then anger comes. Or that emotional satisfaction is not directed towards us, it is directed towards someone else when we desire it. Then also anger comes. It's like you like gulab jamun, you want to about to eat, somebody snatches it, then he becomes the object of anger. And if your body is not cooperating, then some people become angry with the body also. Why I have such a body, I can't enjoy rasgulla or gulab jamun. So that anger is a mode of ignorance. So that is how mode of passion gradually degrades into mode of ignorance. Then Arjuna has a question. But my dear Lord, after fulfillment of the desire, it is supposed to be finished. Let us say I had a desire to eat a gulab jamun, I ate it. It is supposed to be finished. So then Krishna says, no, it is impossible to satisfy such desires. So lust keeps on increasing. There is no end to lust. It's not that now at a particular point of time, lust will end. So there's no end to desires. So then Arjuna, because he's a warrior and a Kshatriya, he says, can't we use Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed? Krishna says, no. Mahasano Mahapapma. It's very, very sinful. It's a great demon. You just can't conquer it so easily. So Mahapapma means it's a greatly sinful demon. So Vidhi Enam Ihevarinam. Understand that this is the enemy of the whole world. Whole world is running because of desire to enjoy. There is no desire to enjoy, all the people will go back to Godhead. So whole world is running because of desire to enjoy. So, and for different people, there are different meanings of lust. In general, for men it is opposite sex, and for women it is the things of the world. So different people have different attraction. So some for opposite sex, and somebody has the attraction for the things of this world. So, but lust is very powerful. Now Krishna talks about, or Prabhupada talks about transforming lust. You can read the last paragraph of the purport. Somebody can read.
This inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, wherein it is said, Athato Brahma Jignasa, one should inquire into the Supreme. And the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janma Dasya Yato Nyavyad Itaratras Cha, or the origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into love for the Supreme, or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Hanuman, the greatest servitor of Lord Rama, engaged his wrath upon his enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. Therefore, lust and wrath, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada talks about transforming that, because lust is also transformed love. So Prabhupada talks about in the first paragraph, he gives the example of a milk coming in the contact with tamarind. It turns into curd. So similarly, that love for the Lord becomes transformed for lust towards the things in this world. So that is basically a misconception. It happens because of misconception or misidentification. So what is that misconception? Misconception is, I will become happy by enjoying. That is the misconception. So Prahlad Maharaj says that how to become happy? So how to become happy is expect or stop expecting happiness by enjoying. That is the way of becoming happy. Because by very nature, living entity is made to serve. But we start imagining that we are made to enjoy. And when we start imagining we are made to enjoy, that is the time when we suffer. Because there is only one enjoyer in this world, that is Krishna. So Krishna becomes happy by accepting the service, and living entities become happy by offering the service. So that is how the dynamics works. So rather than trying to enjoy, we have to try to serve. So desire to serve Krishna's senses is called love, and trying to enjoy our senses is called lust. But actually speaking, when we are trying to enjoy our senses, we are not trying to enjoy, actually we are even serving our senses. That is the truth.
That's why such a person is called Godas. He's not called Goswami. He's called Godas. Godas means servant of the senses. So sometimes we try to serve the mind by giving attention to the mind. Whatever mind comes in the mind, we just pay attention to the mind. So that is how we try to sometimes serve the mind. Sometimes we try to serve certain senses. Like we try to serve the dictations of tongue by providing whatever tongue wants. Sometimes we try to serve the ear by providing whatever ear wants. Sometimes we try to serve the nose by smelling whatever nose wants. So we are serving, but we are imagining that we are enjoyers. So that is a misconception. So because of this misconception, we suffer in this world. Janma adi yasyataha, Prabhupada talks about. Somebody asked a question that everything comes from Supreme. So love comes from that Supreme, but then same love, when it is transformed, it turns into lust. So Anandamayo Abhyasat. No, what is that verse? Anandamayo Abhyasat. So Krishna, when he wanted to enjoy, he expanded himself in form of different divinities. And Lord becomes happy by accepting that enjoyment, we become happy by serving the Lord. So that is the way of becoming happy. The main problem with the lust is never ever satisfied. Okay. So that is the main problem. It is compared to fire. Whatever amount of fuel you put in the fire, any amount of wood, you take all your furniture of the house and put in the fire. Thinking now fire will get extinguished. It will not get extinguished, it will increase. It will say, I want more. Let us say fire was a person and you have fed the fire. Can fire ever say that, no, I am satisfied now? It will always say that I want more, I want more. So that is the nature of lust. Now what happens by that lust is given in 38. Dhumina vriyate gahinir yatha darso malena cha yathol bena vrito garbhas tatha tene damavritam. Please read the translation.
As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, as an embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of the lust. Hare Krishna.
So there are 3 levels of coverings which are given here. What is that? So first is given is when a mirror is covered by dust. So that's a pretty shallow covering. So that is compared to human body, in which it is possible to remember one's spiritual knowledge. To revive spiritual knowledge is easy. No, sorry. First one is not this one. Fire covered by smoke. Sorry, fire covered by smoke. So fire covered by smoke is very easy. In the sense, like, even if you blow off the smoke, fire becomes very productive. It becomes very bright. So that is how ladies cook in the villages. They blow off the smoke and fire becomes very prominent. So similarly, in the human body, it's very, very easy. Easy to remember one's spiritual knowledge. But then, if it is a deeper covering, which is like mirror covered by dust, then one can't see even one's reflection very properly. If smoke is there, at least fire is visible sometimes. Sometimes visible, sometimes not visible. But when mirror is thoroughly covered by dust, it has no possibility of seeing the image at all. That's why it is compared even to the deeper one. So that is almost like in the case of animals. But in case of embryo covered by the womb, embryo is not even visible. He can't see anything outside, you can't see the child inside. So there is no possibility. So that is the consciousness of the trees and plants. Rather, fetus can't even function by stretching its hands and legs. It can't even understand its true form. So then the knowledge of soul is practically absent. That's why in human body it's very, very easy to practice Krishna consciousness as compared to animal body, and much lesser in the body of a tree. One more notable thing here is, to the degree one is covered by lust, to the degree the freedom is checked. That is, more you have desire to enjoy, more your freedom is checked. Human beings have quite a good amount of freedom. Like for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, they can do it lawfully. No, none of us here, we are worried that when prasadam is on our plate, someone else will come and eat it. We peacefully sit down, take our prasad, no problem. But that is not the case with the animals. Animals, no, they have to practically fight for each bread. Sleeping, we nicely, peacefully sleep in our bed or chatai, wherever. We don't have to worry so much. But animals, when they sleep, they are very fearful. As soon as there is sound of some car or some bike passing by, dogs get up. Similarly, mating. Man can just get, man and woman in this world can get married as a human being and peacefully know that no, I have my partner. Of course, nowadays people think are very demonic. It is said that in the West, when you go to office, you are not sure whether you will have your job, and when you come back to home, you don't know whether you will have your wife. But there's not, at least in India, because we follow Vedic culture, that case is not there. But as far as animals are concerned, even for mating, they have to have so much fight. Practically, sometimes dogs fight whole night. And same thing for defending. We have our locks and we have the guards. BSF is there in the country. We are not so much worried. But animals, it's like no, bird lays the egg in the nest. It doesn't know some snake would come and eat it, some other vulture would come and eat it. So such a fear is there. That's why human life is made very, very simple so that one can practice Krishna consciousness. So to the degree one has lust, to the degree one's freedom is checked, to the degree one suffers. Because if freedom is given to them, they will misuse the freedom. That's why their freedom is checked. So practically animals, they go by instinct. They feel like eating, they eat. They feel like having sex, they have sex. They feel like sleeping, they sleep. But humans have higher intelligence to check all these others. It is possible for human being. So that's why humans are supposed to have lesser degree of lust than the animals. One more analysis, I recently heard about an analysis that to the degree person is having lust, to the degree he goes in the lower species. For example, insects. So insects, they spend a major portion of their life in enjoying sex life. And that's why insects have sometimes children in millions. So you may not find like no mosquitoes and suddenly so many mosquitoes are there. Animals are a little more evolved. So then pigs and dogs and all this, they also enjoy more sex life than the human beings. And then they have 6 children, 8 children, one shot. So a lot of children are there. But then human beings, they are supposed to have much more sense control. They are supposed to be much more civilized. And then they have like no one child in a year maximum. And if you go to heaven, their senses are much more controlled. Although the way it is depicted in the movies or the TV serials, as if they are very lusty, they have much more sattva guna than us. And that is why They have child like once in a lifetime. At the end of the life, they have a child. And when it comes to Vaikuntha planets, practically it is absent. It is not there. So there is a verse which comes about description of Vaikuntha in third canto. Yat sankulam haripadanati matra dishte. Haribol?
Hey Krishna Prabhu, your voice got.
We lost, Prabhu. 30 seconds, we lost you, Prabhu.
Maybe a network. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We lost almost 35 seconds, Prabhu.
Okay.
Started with sloka, we couldn't able.
Okay. Okay, one child in life who has demigods. In demigods, is before dying, we get one child. In spiritual world, there is no childbirth, no birth, no old age, no disease, no death. In Vaikuntha. So I'll recite the verse again. Yat sankulam haripadanati matra dishter vedur markatahem maye vimane yesam brahat katitata smita sobe mukhya krishnatmanamna ajradur utsmayade. So this verse says that how all these Vaikuntha men and women, they move in aeroplanes. Prabhupada means made up of lapis lazuli. And women are there very, very beautiful. Yesam prahat katitata asmita sobi mukhya. So they're extremely beautiful. But Krishnatma namna raj ajadur utsmayate. But because Krishna is their Atma, they are so much satisfied in serving the Lord and singing the glories of the Lord that practically speaking, they don't have attraction for each other. So there also couples are there, but what they do Krishna Katha. So there's total absence of lust there. So to the degree one is free from lust, to the degree one is elevated. So that is the whole point. Okay, Susaka Arjun too had a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No, actually, Prabhu, like we saw in the previous verse, you were mentioning about lust transformed into love, and the enmity is transferred. Actually, by nature, it is supreme. Actually, is what we saw. But actually, when it comes to material, that is what is transformed into lust and enmities. Actually, but the same enmity which we saw from Hanuman, it becomes that also became joy, and that is what we saw actually. But there are some practical instances. Even though we are practicing in Krishna consciousness and being in a temple, we have such kind of a relationship with a devotee, and some instant would have been captured in our mind, and it's been prolonged for a long time. Even though we know all these philosophies, all these things actually, but actually we know that all the senses are so strong. Suppose any object comes, automatically my eyes get pops up, some sweet or something, because of the tongue generates. Similarly, that test comes automatically when the situation comes, mind starts acting beyond this thing. So the person, the previous experiences only, even though we try to say, it's finding very difficult to with that experience. And if we go far away, that is fine. Until at least we have some later long after a time, you see at least some respectable relationship. But when we see in the same community and being this thing, then that real test comes actually. So how to do it, how to apply these things?
Okay, so you're talking about devotees, or you're talking about sense objects?
Devotees, Prabhu. Like I'm asking about that enmity, this thing.
Okay.
That how I can transfer in a practical situation like that. So
how we can practically do it? We have to resolve it internally.
Okay.
Internally, in the sense, we have to preach. We have to preach to our mind. What we have to preach to our mind? First thing is that ultimately this person, whatever he is speaking, or he is acting in a particular way. So is there any truth in that? If there's some truth in that, let me improve.
Okay.
If there's no truth in that, let me understand that it is my bad karma which is coming back. And because I'm staying in community of devotees, it is coming through devotees. Because who will become instrument? Only people around us. If we stay with outsiders, they will become instrument. If we stay with devotees, they will become instruments. So the second thing we have to understand. Third thing we have to understand is that say, as I am a struggling sadhaka, that person is also a struggling sadhaka. Let us say he has done some mistake. I also do so many mistakes. So then what to do? Whatever practical is there, you do. Let us say if you are having same service and too much of heat is there. Now in relationships, change your service, do some other service.
Okay.
So that is something practical we can do. And also we have to see how to practically deal it. Deal it means in the sense that sometimes particular nature, we have to learn to deal with that nature. So there are certain conditions which come from like now past background. Like some people by nature, they have no respect for emotions. And that is because it is coming from past life and this life, that upbringing is there. So then you have to talk in their language in the sense that you have to tell them something which appeals them. Let us logic appeals to them. Speak logic.
Okay.
So that is how we have to learn to deal with the situations. So there are three things. And the last thing is understand. I am not this body, I am not this mind. If I think somebody has offended me, if you don't know who you are, how can he offend you? He doesn't know you, who you are. You don't know who you are. Then where the question of offending?
He will not react to it, at least.
You understood now what I am speaking. This is some internal contemplation which should happen.
Yes, yes.
People are identifying as body, but I am not this body. So this is so whatever we have learned in the scriptures, so that we have to apply. Actually speaking, the scriptures are meant to apply. So there is something called culture which we learn very quickly in ISKCON. Eating prasad, putting tilak, getting up early in the morning. So there are some cultures. But then the philosophy is meant to transform the way to see the things. So whenever we are, some internal problems are there, whole philosophy is meant for that.
Apply it.
Apply it. Don't preach to others, preach your own mind. Okay.
Bro, like we don't have this kind of qualities. So is that, do we think that, I don't have that quality, or do we need to train all this stuff, then we have to do it? Or meanwhile, sometimes we have a guilty feeling also. These things, because I have to train my own mind actually, these things to possess all these qualities. So
train it and the qualities will come. See, qualities are very inherent within the soul anyway. Because we are covered.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we have lost you for 30 seconds.
Okay, so I have to do something with the network. Just a minute. So I'll check whether which network is working. Now things are better?
yes, bro. Yes, bro.
Okay. Okay. So the point I was speaking is that qualities are already there within, and if we train ourselves, then these qualities will be exhibited. Just because we are covered with different degrees of lust, these qualities are not exhibited. So preach your mind, that's all. Okay. And everybody is struggling, I am also struggling. But at least we should practice. If we don't practice, we will never be able to come out of it. So many times we don't understand. Many times devotees say, Prabhuji, what is practical application of the scripture? Practical application of the scripture is to preach your mind. That is practical application. So this what Krishna is speaking in Bhagavad Gita, that's truth. That's not wrong. Whatever misconception we are having, that is wrong conception. We have to train our mind to get the right conceptions. Okay.
Before preaching our mind, we are preaching everybody.
So that at least that sort of guilt should be there. That I am preaching to everyone, but I am not preaching to myself. Rather, preaching is purifying to ourselves more. That is the reason we preach. But we should have faith in whatever we are preaching. Then it will happen. Those who are speaker, they get the most maximum benefit than those who ask the question. Then third one is people who are hearing around. One who speaks, he supposed to get the maximum benefit. Now we'll go to next verse. Avartam jnaname tena jnanino nitya varina kama rupena kaunteya dispurvanena anilena cha. Please see the translation.
Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Hare Krishna.
So the example is given the example of fire. So lust is the ignorance of Jiva, which covers the knowledge of Jiva. But basically the ignorance thinking, I am this body, I am this mind, and this body and mind can be satisfied through gratification. Now, you have to understand that mind and body can never be satisfied because they are not living, they are dead. That is the main problem. For example, okay, Pradeep is having a laptop here. You are seeing on laptop or mobile?
Laptop, Prabhu.
Laptop. How many idli we should feed to your laptop to satisfy the laptop?
Sorry, Prabhu. How many?
Idli. How many idlis you have to feed laptop to satisfy the laptop?
Nothing, Prabhu. Practically nothing.
Can laptop be ever satisfied?
No, it's not a living entity, no, Prabhu.
Yeah. So something which is not living, there is no question of satisfying it. Similarly, the senses are also material. They are not living. So these dead senses can never be satisfied. So we have to be convinced about this fact. And that's why Krishna compares it to fire. Whatever you put in fire, it is never satisfied. So lust is like unsatisfied fire. Fire which can never be satisfied. And Krishna says, Jnanino nitya varina. Nitya varina means it is eternal enemy. So to the degree person allows or he tries to satisfy lust, to the degree this enemy becomes more and more powerful. Why did it become powerful? Because it is more like creating inertia in the wrong direction. See, when even after we try to identify ourselves separate from the body and mind, and we try to serve Krishna rather than satisfying body and mind, even then, again, there is a tendency to satisfy body and mind. Why? Because it is because of inertia which has been coming from so many lifetimes. But when we again try to satisfy our body and mind, this inertia becomes increased. It's like we are having a fan and we take a stick. Like Indians have a typical way of sometimes making the fan work. One time, one of our devotees from the West, he was going in an Indian local train. So it was very hot and the fan was not working. And then suddenly one person came out. It's not very difficult to understand. He took out his comb and he started moving the wings of the fan. And this devotee started taking the video. What is happening? And the fan started working. So such a technology, we never knew that there is such a technology. So the Indian technology. So this is called inertia. So let us say if we are creating an inertia, then what happens is when we want to stop it, it becomes much more harder. So already so much of inertia of trying to enjoy body, mind, and senses. If you don't stop it, it will create more trouble. That's the whole point. And Prabhupada says about how this world is called Methonagar. Whole world is like a prison house with shackles of sex life. To the degree one enjoys, to the degree one becomes bound. And it is such a place that in this prison there are no bars. You don't find prison bars. But still nobody wants to leave this place. Because they themselves have a desire to enjoy. So nobody is binding us. Like I think it is Astavakar Muni. No, not Astavakar Muni. I don't remember the name of the sage. So this particular sage came in the place of Janak Maharaj, palace of Janak Maharaj. And Janak Maharaj asked him a question. Why is Maya so strong? Why is Maya binding us? As soon as the sage heard it, he started running away. Janak Maharaj thought he got very offended. So Janak Maharaj was running behind him. And he was running and running. And because Janak Maharaj was running, all the courtiers and start running behind him. Then all the local people start running behind him. And this sage was just running. And he went to the outskirts of the city. Then all the people saying, what happened to know? Did you become so offended and he's running away from us? And then he went in the outskirts of the city and he embraced one tree. And he was shouting, leave me, leave me, leave me. No, people were saying, what happened? No, why is he behaving like a crazy man? He said, my dear sage, it's not the tree which has held you, it is you who are embracing the tree. You are holding the tree. Sage said, this is the answer. It's not that Maya has caught us, we have caught up Maya. So Maya means basically illusion. Illusion that sense objects can satisfy us. And because we think that sense objects can satisfy us, that's why we embrace the sense objects. So we have not caught up the sense objects have not caught up us, we have caught up the sense objects. So we have to basically change the decision, make a different decision. Okay, so that is how. Now the next verse. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishthana muchyate eter vimoyati esa jnanam avrit dehinam. Please read the translation.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of the lust. Though them, lust covers the real knowledge of the life, real knowledge of the living entity, and bewilders him.
So lust is like a king. Let us compare to like a king. King or you can say enemy king. Senses, mind, and intelligence are like fortress, cities, etc. So king has a fort or a fortress or a city. City also, you must have seen that ancient cities have city gates, city boundaries. So that is compared to mind, intelligence, and senses. And the provinces of the king, whole province of the king is like sense objects of sound, touch, form, etc. So like king uses his fortress, his army and everyone to rule over the whole kingdom. Similarly, lust uses senses, mind, and intelligence to run or rule over the province. So, how does it do that? He covers the knowledge. He covers the knowledge of Jiva. And that is how lust bewilders the Jiva. So, as soon as there is a desire to enjoy, person is bewildered. And then person cannot understand what is right, what is wrong. So, that discrimination goes away. So, that's how he is bewildered. Okay. It covers both Gyan and Vigyan. It covers the knowledge and even realization also, whatever realization we had before. And that's why Krishna appeals to Arjuna. Okay, this is something which again I will speak about it. Is Prabhupada talks about lust intelligence. So senses, mind, intelligence also, they are like machines. And whatever we feed in them, they act accordingly. Now you put on the fan, as soon as you switch off the fan, you can't expect it to immediately stop. Because we had switched it on. So similarly, mind, senses, and intelligence, they work in a particular way. They don't immediately stop acting in a peculiar way. So how we have fed them, they are acting now in that way. So we have trained them to become lusty. So what is the meaning of training them to become lusty? Senses, if they have been trained to serve Krishna, by default they start serving Krishna. If you have trained them to enjoy sense objects, even unwillingly, they may seem to disobey us and act against how we are acting. Like we may find eyes moving towards the particular things which we have been looking before, even if we don't want. Like somebody had a habit of moving around the streets and looking at all the movie posters and billboards. Now, after becoming Krishna conscious, also what happens is eyes automatically go there. It seems they are disobeying us. That is called lusty eye. Similarly, we have been hearing a lot of mundane music before, some movie songs. So then, although there may be Sangeetan going on, but somewhere in some distance, maybe 2 kilometers away, there is some movie song going on. Mind doesn't become absorbed in Sangeetan and becomes absorbed in that particular song. So that's a lusty ear. In this way, senses also either become Krishna conscious or lusty, the way they are trained before. Same thing is true with the mind also. If we have images or impressions of enjoyment from this life and even from previous lives, then mind becomes very lusty. As soon as you close the eyes, those images come before us. You go to sleep, those things come before us. So that is how mind becomes very lusty. Similarly, intelligence becomes very lusty. How intelligence becomes lusty? Intelligence which discriminates between matter and spirit. What is conducive for devotion service, what is not conducive for devotion service is called pure intelligence. So for devotees, intelligence means Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That is called pure intelligence. But when intelligence is used to plan how to enjoy, that is called lusty intelligence. Because even for enjoying, we see people have to make very clever plan. Especially somebody is doing something illicit, trying to enjoy illicit sex, try to enjoy illicitly eating something or drinking something. Then intelligence is used, that is lust intelligence. In this way, intelligence is also many times it's called lust intelligence. In the ego also, there is a true ego and there is a false ego. So Prabhupada quote this verse. Yasyatma buddhi kodapetri dhatke swadi kalatradisu bhamojidi yatyet buddhi salena karichit janesu abegisu sayev gokhara. One who thinks this body made up of kaph, pitta and vayu, I am that body. Those who think bham ojidi, that my place of wherever I am born is very worshipable. Jai Telangana. No, I am from Telangana, so Telangana is very great. I am from Andhra, then Andhra is very great. Like one devotee, so then he was asking me different questions. He was saying that who is the best movie actor till now? I don't know what type of question you were asking. So no, Prabhu, you should tell from your material understanding. So then I told some no names, no Amitabh Bachchan is there. No. Even the best actor till now is N.T. Ramarao. I told her, okay, I never heard his name. Maybe you may not have heard his name, no, because you are a devotee, but actually he is the best actor. Then he started asking, who is the best prime minister till now? Then I have told some names. You don't know, no. Best prime minister is P. Narasimha Rao. So I told P. Narasimha Rao. And then he said, so he told 2-3 things, similar disease also. So then I told, I never heard these things. Why you are saying about them? He will prove because all these things are from Andhra. Ramarao is from Andhra. He is from Andhra. P. Narasimha Rao is from Andhra. I told, okay. And then tell in Andhra, which is the best place? I told Hyderabad. It was long before. He told, no, not Hyderabad. It is Vijayawada. Vijayawada is the most beautiful place in the entire earth. So then we asked why. Then we found that he is from Vijayawada. So anyway, so we all have a, like now, to a degree we have this bodily consciousness. We have that pride in whatever we are staying. Like when we were preaching in IIT, I found people in North India, they would say we are very pious because South Indians eat meat. And South Indians say that we are very pious because North Indians are very violent people. They speak sharp words and they fight and this and that. No, South Indians are peaceful people. So then each one of us, we have a pride of a, so, and that pride remains to a degree, we bhaumajidi. Similarly, those who go to holy places, just to take bath there, not hear for the sadhus, so they are compared to cowardness because they are in bodily consciousness. So this is called basically false ego. The whole point I told, the whole story is about false ego. False ego means we identify with the gross body and subtle body, and then we identify ourselves with the things related to the gross body or subtle body, connected to these things. So that basically false ego is there. So, and what is true ego? True ego is identify ourselves as part and parcel of Krishna. When we say part and parcel of Krishna means name, form, qualities, pastimes of Krishna. We are part and parcel of all these things. Your relationship with all these things. Your relationship with all devotees who are serving Krishna. So this like lusty intelligence, so lusty ego, or you can say false ego and true ego. So in this way things are pure and impure. Anyway, I give Andhra example because I know most of devotees are from Andhra here, although you are in Bangalore. Now, text number 41. Tasmatam indriyani ado niyam bharatar sava papamanam prajahi hi enam jnana vijnana nasanam. Please use the translation.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, In the very beginning, curse this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization.
So Gyan, Vigyan, Nasanam. This particular lust kills Gyan and Vigyan. So Gyan means difference between body and soul, and Vigyan means understanding of one's relationship with Krishna. So this is Gyan and Vigyan. But lust is so powerful that when person is obsessed by desire to enjoy, one forgets both the things. So whatever even Gyan is there, that is destroyed. Vigyan is there, that is also destroyed. Like now, once two youths were going, generally devotees go together to protect themselves. So two devotees were going. So one of the devotee, his eyes went to one beautiful lady coming from other side. And this devotee said, Prabhu, be careful. This body, the body you are seeing is made up of stool, urine, pus, blood. And this devotee said, yes, but somehow it is arranged very nicely. So it is made of all these things, but it is arranged very nicely. So the point is that Gyan, whatever is there, as soon as enjoyment mentality comes, it goes away. It disappears. Only when there is a strong desire to even realization goes away. Like when we are very hungry, let us say we have done we are doing nasal ekadasi or something, or now we are very hungry. Even sometimes devotees, we may take darshan of deities. We may just remember our things only. We may look at bead bag, and bead bag may look like papaya. No, red color. So we feel, had it been papaya so good, I'm just having bead bag in my hand. When those enjoyment mentality comes, we forget our relationship with Krishna, we forget everything. Gyan, Vigyan, and Asana. So Gyan, I said, Gyan is the difference between body and soul, and Vigyan is the understanding of one's relationship with Krishna. That is in the purport. Actually, Gyan and Vigyan also, they keep on having different meanings in different places. We'll find that in especially when we discuss Isupanishad. So different definitions are given by different acharyas at different places. But here we find Prabhupada speaking this about Gyan and Vigyan. So Krishna says is, among mind, intelligence, and senses, which is the easiest to conquer among mind, intelligence, and senses? Somebody would like to answer? Okay, Rasi Sarpu. You're raising hand, na?
No, I didn't raise my question.
You understand the question? Among senses, mind, and intelligence, all of them are contaminated. But among which one is easiest to conquer?
Intelligence, Prabhu.
Intelligence, Prabhu.
Okay. Not senses? Not mind?
No, Prabhu. Mind is very tough.
What about senses?
If intelligence is conquered, then mind and senses will hear intelligence from.
Okay, you already have your previous, whatever you have heard, you are speaking from that. I'm asking from a layman's language. Sense in the sense, you have hands, right? Then we have our mind, we have our intelligence. Or let me ask another question. That will make things very easy. It is easiest to absorb in chanting, absorb in hearing classes, or doing practical services. Among all three of them, which is easiest?
Services, bro. Doing practical services.
Yes, bro. Doing practical service.
So how many of you it is practical services? So that means it is engaging the senses. That means engaging. So engaging a senses is easiest. It may not be ultimate, but it is the easiest. So Krishna, that's why he says that, like when you want to conquer an enemy, what is the best way of conquering the enemy? Now, some people say it is the pastime of Chandragupta, some people say it is the pastime of Shivaji, whatever the case may be. But in either of the cases, we find that when they were getting defeated for a long period of time, so that a pastime has happened. That one old woman was sitting with a young child, and young child, she told him to eat. And he directly kept his hand in the middle of the khichdi and ate it. And his hand got burned. And this old woman said, "Hey, are you like Chandragupta, or you are like Shivaji, whatever the case may be?" Said, "Why?" Said, "You don't know that first eat the khichdi which is on the periphery, which is easier to eat, which is cold. And by the time you eat it, the center will also become cold." What they learn from that is, if we conquer the provinces which are easier to conquer, then we'll easily conquer or in due course of time, it will become easier to conquer the provinces which are difficult to conquer. So similarly, Vishwanath Thakur says that's why one should begin with engaging the senses in Krishna service. So engage your senses in Krishna service. And as soon as the movement of the senses is checked for a long period of time, positive impressions also go in the mind, and that is how mind becomes purified. So that's how mind becomes purified. So, and then Krishna tells about the hierarchy in 42 and 43. Indriyani paranaho indriyebhyo param manah manastu para buddhi yo buddhi parasastu sa. Please use the translation.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So this is the hierarchy. Like body means senses. If none of the senses of body are working, body would be as good as vegetable. Vegetable means nothing to do. If you can't hear, eyes don't work, nose don't work, nothing works. It is as good as vegetable. So body means senses. So better than dull matter is the senses. Indriyani paranaho. Indriyabhyo paramana, but higher than the senses is the mind. So all the senses are grouped around the mind, like the fingers are grouped around the palm. So like that. So higher than the mind is intelligence. Living and the soul, you buddhir parsastusa, but you, O soul or Arjuna here, you are even higher than the intelligence. So that is the hierarchy. Because soul is consciousness, which is much more subtler than the intelligence also. So that's basically hierarchy Krishna speaks about. I'll explain both the verses together, 42, 43. 43 also. Now Krishna concludes. Evam buddhi param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana jahi satru mahabaho kama rupam duradasam. Please read translation.
The knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind and intelligence, who might be armed, Arjuna, one should live steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this instable enemy known as lust.
So using that, Krishna now tells how to conquer the lust. Uh, okay. So now we'll go to we will go stage by stage. Senses are great and strength. Parani. Why they are so powerful? Because big warriors who conquer the directions, they can't conquer the senses. And like some of the statements are very powerful. Like King Muskunda says that big warriors who conquer the directions, they become Creed they become like a pet animals in front when they enter in the chambers of opposite sex. And people who conquer the directions, they can't conquer the lust. So lust is so powerful. There is a one more verse, which who speaks? Lord Kapil Dev. बलम में पश्य माया स्त्री मैया जैनो दिशाम यत करोति पदाक्रांता ध्रुवी जरम्बेन केवलम. He says, Palam me passe maya. My dear mother, please see the power of my maya. Stri maya jaino desam. My maya in the form of woman, and for women it is men, or things of this world. Yat karoti padakrantan, dhruvi jamben kilam. By the mere movement of her eyebrows, she can bring the best of the conquerors of the world below her feet. So that is the power of my maya. The love senses are very powerful. Even the great warriors can't conquer the mind. That's why it is considered so powerful. Parani. But then it is lesser powerful than mind. Because even when senses are not working, who works? Mind works. When we are sleeping, senses are sleeping. Senses don't work. We don't open our eyes. We don't eat anything when we are sleeping. Still something works, that is the mind. So even when senses don't work, mind works. That is how mind is more powerful than the senses. That's the proof. Then intelligence is much more powerful than the mind also. So when we are having deep sleep, when even the dreams don't come, that time functions of the intelligence don't stop working. Because one of the functions of the intelligence is memory. It's not that we had a deep sleep and then suddenly memory is lost. No. Memory is still there. So that is how this proves that intelligence is more powerful than mind. But then Jiva is more powerful than intelligence also. How? Because unless until Jiva desires to enjoy, he cannot have mental bondage. And as soon as he desires to serve and give up the desire to enjoy, he can be freed from bondage. That is how Jiva's desire is most powerful as compared to all these elements like senses, mind, intelligence, ego, everything. That is how Jiva is considered superior to all these people. That means unless until Jiva takes a decision, I will not serve my mind intelligence anymore, I will serve only Krishna, there's no question of getting rid of bondage. And if Jiva has desired, I'll get rid of them. Now it may take some time or lot of time or many lifetimes, whatever, but at least he will get rid of the bondage. That's why Jiva is considered superior to all these things. And this is the reason association of devotees is a remedy for all the problems. Because we get desire to serve Krishna and not serve the senses in association of devotees. The association of devotees is a remedy for big problems. And many times people, those who don't associate with devotees, they don't want to sacrifice for associating with devotees. They become degraded in due course of time and they live in Krishna consciousness. So association of devotees is very powerful, because in association of devotees, we get a desire to serve Krishna. And to the degree we associate with those devotees who have a stronger desire to associate with Krishna, to the degree we get benefit also. That's why if we don't have certain quality, what we should do is we should associate with devotees who have those qualities. Like if we don't have taste for chanting, associate with devotees who have taste for chanting. If we don't have a taste for reading Prabhupada books, associate with the devotees who have taste for reading Prabhupada books. If you don't have a desire to serve, associate with devotees who have desire to serve. So we borrow the desire of the people around us with whom we associate. If we associate with outsiders, then we get the desires of outsiders also. So that's why it is said that what is that? Tamo dwaram yusitam sangi sangam. What was the first line? Mahat sivam dwaram ahur vimuktis tamo dwaram yusitam sangi sangam. So if we associate with Mahats, those who are great devotees of the Lord, the doors of liberation are opened. But if we associate with Yositam Sangi Sangam means Yosit Sangi Sangam. It's not written in Yosit. Yosit means women. Asuna women is not condemned. In the sense of there is something more dangerous. What is that more dangerous? Yosit Sangi Sangam. Those who are desirous of enjoying with women, such people's association should be given up because they will lead you to hell. Association with people who are lusty, it's very, very dangerous because they carry enjoying mentality with them, and we also borrow that mentality if we associate with them. That means you will find sometimes people are very good, but they behave in a very nefarious way many times. And the reason is they have directly or indirectly associated with such people, either physically, in the sense of talking to each other or staying with them, or through movies, etc. One Grasta devotee only was telling me that one particular person was very gentlemanly, but he had a habit of he would tie his wife's hands and legs. And because of that, now there was a divorce and other things. So we were telling them, these people were amazed, why this fellow behaves like that. And the reason is he watched such movies before. He would watch such movie before, that's why he got such a desire. So we associate with devotees with a particular quality, we also get a particular quality. So that's why that jiva desire is considered most powerful. And now we'll explain 43. So there's one way of conquering the enemy of lust. Associate with devotees who are strongly practicing Krishna consciousness. And then we should also apply whatever we have learned from the scriptures. What Krishna speaks here is, in this verse number 43, understanding that Jivatma is superior to intelligence, understanding it is separate from the coverings of mind, senses, everything, one should destroy lust. That means deliberate spiritual intelligence. When I am not senses, why should I try to satisfy it? When senses cannot be satisfied, why should I satisfy it? When I have nothing to do with my thoughts coming in the mind, why should I worry about what we are thinking? No. In this way, by being firmly fixed in the knowledge of soul different from body, mind, intelligence, ego, one should try to conquer this enemy of lust. So Baldev Vidyabhushan, Ramanachar, Madhvachar, Siddha Swami, they all take this verse as fixing the mind by intelligence. But purify your intelligence by reading scriptures very deeply and then conquer the mind. Vishwanath Thakur says, he takes a says that it is even easier, or he takes this verse that by identifying oneself as the self, that I am different from all this, is one should conquer the intelligence to mind and in this way conquer the senses. So by being established in one's knowledge as not body but soul. And if we say Prabhupada, Prabhupada takes both meanings together. You see the Prabhupada, how he speaks? One should study the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. That is opinion of Baldev Vidyabhushan, Ramanuchar, Madhvachar, Siddha Swami. And then he says, thus by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy of lust. That means identifying oneself as soul, conquer this insatiable enemy of lust. So Prabhupada has given like both the meanings together. So Prabhupada combines. So what we learn is basically by getting a desire to serve Krishna, associating with devotees, whatever we have heard in a son of devotees, having faith on that, contemplating on that, that how I am different from body, mind, senses, intelligence, ego, then one can conquer this enemy of lust, environmentality. So that is how one is supposed to conquer. Now, I had already spoken this verse. I will speak this again. It's very relevant again here to this context. So this is verse. There's some prayer which devotees can do and contemplate in order to conquer the enemy of lust. So which we spoke before also. Kamadinam katitana katita palita durnisesas tesam jata maina karuna na tripa nopesanti usthrijyetat atyatupate samritam labda buddhis tam ayata saranam abhyam mamnim shamadase. So kamadinam, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsar. So all the 6 enemies. Katita na katita. What to say, what not to say. So what instructions they have given, something I can speak, something I cannot speak. But what I have done, palita, still I have served him. Served all the instructions. So some very nefarious instruction of kam, krodh also I have served them. Tesam jata maina karuna. Although I have served them day and night, they never have any mercy on me. I say Sunday at least give me holiday. They say no, Sunday you have to do double work. So I have to work more harder on Sunday. So trying to satisfy the lusty desires. At the same time, I am not satisfied till now. I am not satisfied by serving them. If lust was satisfied, no problem. But trying to satisfy lust is like trying to quench the thirst by drinking sea water. More you drink sea water, more you feel thirsty. So, no, na tripa, na upasanti, nor the senses are peaceful now. Okay, I have engaged so much in sense gratification, senses should be peaceful. No, they are very turbulent. But my dear Yadupati Krishna, Samritam Labdha Buddhi, somehow I got this intelligence that these things, these senses and mind can never be satisfied. That is Tvam Ayata Saranam Abhyam. That's why I have come to your lotus feet, my dear Lord. Mam Nim Shamidase, please engage me in your service. So that is the prayer. Okay, so that is how Krishna talks about dealing with lust.
Sloka number. Kamadinam katita palita. Sloka number.
Okay, this is in. I think already somebody asked, and you already had a reference because I think I quoted here before also. So this is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not a Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, but quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's basically from Padyavali. So it is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.16. I'll just put it there. So there is a verse. It is there in the chat box. Okay. So in chapter number 3, Krishna talks about Niskam Karma Yoga as a sadhana from verse 1 to 38. And the result of Niskam Karma Yoga is Gyan, knowledge that I am not body, I am soul. That the result of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all three of them. So then Krishna speaks about this Gyan and the enemy of the Gyan from 39 to 43. Now we'll go to chapter number 4. In chapter number 4, Lord talks about reasons for his appearance, the eternal nature of his appearance and activities, and the excellence of Gyan, especially in terms of Brahma Gyan. Brahma Gyan means I am not body, I am soul. That's called Brahma Gyan. So he'll talk about all these things. So this chapter is also sometimes called as Jnana Prapti Upaya Yoga. Knowledge through actions. There's another name of this particular chapter. Prabhupada translates this chapter as transcendental knowledge. So this transcendental knowledge is not Gyan. This Gyan is a result of Niskam Karma Yoga. So many times, sometimes, some devotees think that it is talking about Jnana Yoga. It's not talking about Jnana Yoga. It is basically talking about Niskam Karma Yoga, which is a result of, the Gyan, which is a result of Niskam Karma Yoga. Okay, that's clear. Just a minute, I'll try to find the slide also. Somebody can read this. I'll just show the quote. The quote by Prabhupada. Somebody can read the quote.
Dharma Samsthapanaya Nartanaya. So why he violated these rules of Dharma? Violation because to Vedic civilization, nobody can mix with others' wife or other woman. Sometimes he is seen to be acting against the social laws. Therefore, Krishna warns, Na mam karmani limpanti. These social, political or religious laws do not apply to me. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is not bound by laws, but we are bound by laws. We read the first verse. So in the first verse itself, Krishna starts glorifying the knowledge which one gets by practice of Niskam Karma Yoga, or the transcendental knowledge. Okay, so before that only, Prabhakar posed a question.
Krishna Prabhuji. From previous slokas you explained that regarding that memory, if you are in a deep sleep, that even that memory also will be available. But I heard from newspapers or news, right? Some people they went to they sleep, and sometimes after woke up from this coma or something, right? Again they'll speak some other language. So how we can understand, Prabhu, that if the memory is fixed, right, or available, so then how they will forget and how they will talk new language instead of their own mother tongue?
At least for us, did it ever happen to you? You sleep every day. Every day we get some time deep sleep. You can ask from any doctor. Did it ever happen to you that you start speaking another language?
No, bro. But those who went into coma, right? Just they do come up with other language they're talking. It seems likely.
So these are like very what do you say? Rare circumstances where a certain part of the memory might have been erased because of their some sort of karma. Like some people meet an accident also, then they lose some part of the memory. Or some people, they get to some decision, then sometimes they lose some sort of memory. So this is all because of karma only, but it is not in general. Like for example, in general, we don't remember our previous lives. There are few exceptional cases where people remember their previous lives. So this is all because of karma only. Those who do bad I would say it's more of a bad karma only in general, that people sometimes remember their past life. Or sometimes good karma for devotees, because that helps them to maybe make progress in spiritual life. But many times, most of the time, it's bad karma, because if you remember the tragedies of the past life, it's very difficult to relate this with this world. So Lord makes us forget. But in exceptional cases, they are there. So there are exceptional cases where person may have some special karma, and then he happens. And I don't think that this population is even 1% of the population. Right? I'm hearing for the first time when I'm hearing from you. So at least I didn't hear any case till now. So they're special, they're like diseases. Okay.
Okay, bro. Hare Krishna.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanamham Abhyam Viswaswan Manve Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Please read the translation.
The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga, the sun god Vivaswan, and the Vivaswan instructed into Manu, the further of mankind, and Manu is turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
So basically, Lord is talking here about a hierarchy of Rajarishis through whom this knowledge was coming down. So the hierarchy of the Rajarishis. So this is called basically many times a Rajarishi Parampara also. So Lord said that I gave this knowledge to Vyavasvat Manu, who is the current Manu. His name is actually no. So he gave Krishna gave knowledge to Sun God Vyavaswan, and Sun God gave it to Vyavasvat Manu, Sun God of the son of Sun God. So that's why it's called Vyavaswan. But actually his actual name is Sradadev. And then Vyavaswan gave to Vyavasvat Manu. Vyavasvat Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And that's how through the solar dynasty, this particular knowledge was coming down. So Lord Ram appears in this particular dynasty. Somebody can read the last paragraph of this purport. Prabhupada talks about calculations.
At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of the Kali Yuga, which lasts 4,32,000 years. Before this, there was Dwapara Yuga, 8 lakh years, and before that, there was Treta Yuga. Thus, some 2,05,000 years ago, Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaja Ishwaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of the current Manu is calculated to last some years of which have passed. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vaishnavan. A rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least years ago in human society. It has been extant for 2 million years. It was respoken by the Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. That is the rough estimate of the history of the Gita according to the Gita itself and according to the version of the speaker, Lord Sri Krishna. It was spoken to the sun god Vaishnavan because he is also Kshatriya and his father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god or the Surya Vamsha Kshatriyas, because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This knowledge is Aparshaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without a mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession And it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ishvaku. Parikshna.
Yeah. So Prabhupada talks about calculations because half of the day of Brahma is past. This seventh Manvantar. There are 14 Manvantars in the life of one day of Brahmaji. I'll tell a little bit of the calculations. Because anyway, this topic will come up again in the middle chapters. So maybe I can just share the documents. Wait for a minute. You can see that? Yeah. So Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. Dwapar is double of that. Treta is 3 times of that. Satya is 4 times of that. So one Chatur Yuga or Divya Yuga is 43.2 lakh years. So this is the calculation. Then Brahmaji has 1,000 such Chatur Yugas as his 12 hours of day. So that comes to around 43.2 lakhs into 1,000. So it's basically 4.32 billion years. That is 12 hours of Brahma. And that 12 hours of Brahma is called one kalpa. And in one kalpa or 12 hours of day of Brahma, there are 14 manus. So the reign of one manu is called one manvantar. So one manvantar is 1,000 by 14 Chaturyugas. That comes around 71 Chaturyugas. And demigods cabinet duration is one manvantar. So in one manvantar, Manu, Deva means demigods, Manuputra, the sons of Manu, that is the solar and lunar dynasties, basically solar dynasty. Sureswara, those who are demigods, the 7 sages, and Manvantar avatar. So they all change in one Manvantar. Okay. So that's how all demigods cabinet, like post of Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varun, etc., it changes in one Manvantar. So that is how one Manvantar is very important. It's a very important time. So Brahmani 24 hours would be double of one kalpa, that's 2 kalpas. That comes to around 8.64 billion years. Similarly, Brahmaji's 1 year is composed of 360 days. And in this way, Brahmaji lives for 100 years. So Brahmaji's lifetime is 311 trillion 40 billion years. Now for us, because demigod cabinet changes in one Manvantar, in this Manvantar, around this 28 million years going on. 28 million years going on. So according to that, Prabhupada was calculating about when Krishna has spoken this knowledge to Vivaswar. Okay, clear? So there are 71 yoga cycles, and that 28th is going on. Clear? So who predicted this exact calculation in number of years? It is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, all the details. Third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we'll go to the next verse. Evam parampara praptam imam radarasyo viduhu sakaline hamata yogo nashta parantapa. Please read that translation.
This
The
supreme
supreme
science
science.
was just
Go ahead, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Yeah, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appeared to be lost. Hare Krishna.
So in this way, through this Rajarsi Parampara, the emperor speaks to his son and his son and his son and his son. So that is how it was, this knowledge was coming down. But in 5,000 years, it seemed that it is lost. People had forgotten that knowledge. So that is the benefit of being connected to a bona fide sampradaya. And Kali Yuga, we know, Kali Yuga, there are 4 bona fide sampradaya of Guru Sisya Sampradaya, Parampara. Brahma, Rudra, Kumar, and what is the 4th one? Sri. Yeah. These 4 are there. We are in which sampradaya? Which parampara?
Brahma Madhva Gaudiya.
We are in Brahma Madhva Gaudiya sampradaya. So in these sampradaya, Lord takes the guarantee that if the knowledge is lost, Lord will send him, Lord will himself come, or he'll send his representatives to re-establish the principles again. So that is how sometimes people ask, oh, Prabhu, is it that no, only in this sampradaya the knowledge is available? In these sampradayas, the knowledge is guaranteed to be right according to Krishna. Like when it comes to the government universities, government takes the responsibility of seeing that the standards of the universities are maintained in the government university. But government doesn't take such a responsibility in the private universities. And especially the universities which are not sanctioned by the government, that's why even doesn't give the certificate. Like it happened with one of our devotees. He did a course in a particular college for 3 years in Chennai. Then after 3 years, he realized that the university authorities were thinking by the end of 3-4 years, we will at least get the get it bona fide by government, but they couldn't get it by that time. So then he understood, I have wasted my 3 years in doing BTech of for which I don't get a degree. We are not like registered with the government. So that is how the universities or the sampradayas bona fide by the, or like no, they are sealed by the Krishna, that these are the bona fide ones. In that at least we get good knowledge. So similarly, this parampara was Rajarsi Parampara, Imam Rajarasyo Vidu. So Raja means king, Rishi means saint. So there's a parampara of saintly kings. Because in Vedic culture, the values are given before skills. Before you teach a person to use the sword, teach him how to use the sword and on whom to use the sword. Let us say, no, you teach a soldier how to shoot a gun. And then the commander says, shoot. And the soldier, rather than shooting the enemy, shoots the commander only. Then what will happen? The purpose of training is lost. That's why value should be given before the skills. So that's why especially those who are qualified to become emperors, they were also great rishis. Like mode of passion. Shudras, those who have the post of the soldiers, they have passion, but then they need a master, so they have ignorance also. Those who are ministers, they have little more goodness along with passion, because that's why they could plan, think, do administration. But king is supposed to have much more goodness. He's not supposed to be swayed away by the emotions. He should plan. That's why whenever there would be war, certainly kings would fight. At the same time, kings were generally those who would direct the armies here and there, those who would talk with the Senapati, commanders. They would direct the commanders here and there. So they were the men who make the strategy. Because one needs more intelligence. But then actually king is not just supposed to win the war. He's supposed to run the whole kingdom. He needs much more intelligence, much more training. But those who are emperors, they have various kings under them. They are supposed to be very much connected to the Supreme Lord. So that's why generally those who are first class devotees, they were given the position of the emperors in the Vedic lineage or the Vedic times. That's why they were as good as sages. So they were called rishis, Raj Rishi. King who are sages also, saintly kings. So Prabhupada talks about how that was lost, and now also you find that spirit is lost. So many demonic people with a demonic intelligence, they are misinterpreting Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada writes in the purport. So Pradeep, you have a question.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Prabhu, here in this 4.1 sloka, we said that it was said like Krishna gave this transcendental knowledge to Vivaswan and Vivaswan to Manu and Manu to Prabhu. But whereas in our Bhagavad Gita as it is, we have this Guru Shishya Parampara, right? There it is like a different order, right? There if you see the Parampara, Krishna gave to Brahma, Brahma gave to Narada, Narada to Vyas Maharshi. So how two different
that lineage is called Krishna. When he's talking in text number 2 is called Rajrishi Parampara. Rajrishi Parampara is not there now. The reason is that Kali Yuga doesn't deserve to have Rajrishis. So the last people of Rajrishi Parampara, they are doing tapasya in Kalabgram. Kalabgram where Vyasdev is there, Vyasadev is there, Narayana Rishi are there. So there is Kalabgram in the, you can find it is there in the near Badrika Ashram. So in Garhwal still that place is there. So they are doing tapasya there. And when Satyuga comes, Kalki comes, he kills everyone. By the fragrance of his body, he'll turn people's mind into mode of goodness. Then these Rajrishis will again come in picture. So that parampara is lost. But in the beginning of Kali Yuga, especially, one needs a proper guidance. And one needs to check the knowledge, whether it is right knowledge or not wrong knowledge. That's why Lord makes all these 4 sampradayas. So our parampara is Guru Sisya Parampara. It is not Rajrishi Parampara. At least I am not a king. I don't know whether you are a king. No, so still we are in the parampara. So our is Guru Sisya Parampara. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then Krishna speaks about what happened after that parampara, why it is lost, or what is the reason it is lost. Sa evayam maya te adya yoga prokta puratanaha bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. Please read the translation.
That every ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me is to be to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Hare Krishna.
The Lord says that I will speak to you because you are my devotee and friend. Bhakti semi sakha cheti. So that means if this devotees are not in a particular lineage, they don't have friendly disposition toward the Supreme Lord, this knowledge may be lost. So who can hold this knowledge? Those are devotees and friends of the Lord. And that because Lord doesn't reveal this knowledge to other people who are not devotees, who are not friends, that's why this is called secret knowledge. Rahasyam hi etad uttamam. It's called rahasyam and becomes secret. So that's why in the Rajarshi Parampara. This knowledge got lost in due course of time. Because maybe some people might have not developed that level of devotion or something like that. Of course, that's not like very directly speaking. But at least Krishna said that is why I'll give you this knowledge, because you are my friend. So you will not have enmity towards me. And you are my devotee. So you can appreciate my greatness. Otherwise, those who don't have friendly disposition or those who are not devotional, such people become envious when Krishna talks about his greatness. Like one person who heard Bhagavad Gita, he came in one temple. He was saying, hey, why Krishna is so proud? He's saying, among the fishes I am Sark, among the wielders of weapons I am Ram. What does he think about himself? So then the devotee cooled him down. He said that, who are you? No, who are you? What is your name? What do you do? So then he told his name and then he said that I am a general manager of this company. So then he said, oh, what did you say? You are a peon of this company? No, not peon, general manager of this company. He said, general manager is peon only, peon of the company. No, general manager is not peon. He's like, such a high post. So then this devotee said, you are so proud that you are saying you are general manager. You should be humble. You should say that I am a peon. So then he said, no, actually I am a general manager. Why should I say that I am a peon? So the devotee explained similarly, Krishna is God. That's why he's saying he is God, not that he's proud. You are said to be proud when you say what you are not. But Krishna is God and that's why he is speaking, he is God. So that's why those people who are envious, they can't appreciate Krishna's greatness. So Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita to those people who are friendly, they have friendly disposition, and they're devotee of the Lord. Okay, so that is. Now Arjuna has a confusion. Arjuna gets a confusion. Arjuna vacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasata katham etad vijaniyam tad ado proktavaniti. Please read the translation.
Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is a senior by birth to you. How am to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him?
The question Arjuna is asking is that, my dear Lord, we understand that we are of same age. Even Yudhishthir and Bhima, they are elder to you, and that's why you pay them obeisances. And now you are saying that you spoke this to sun god Vivaswan. So how can I understand that you spoke it to sun god Vivaswan? Now this particular verse sets the mood of asking question, that it has to be in submissive mood, not in a challenging spirit. He didn't say, hey Krishna, you have no nonsense you are speaking. I know very nicely that no, you are my friend only. He didn't spoke like that. He said that, how am I to understand? So that's called a submissive inquiry. At the same time, Arjuna is not a blind follower. That no, whatever Krishna is saying, he is just accepting. He is using his logic and intelligence to understand things. That's why many times outsiders say that no, you people have blind faith. We don't have blind faith. Atheists have unreasonable faith on their conception, or they blindly reject the presence of God. Anybody with intelligence will try to use his logic and then he'll come to the conclusion that God exists. So we don't have blind faith, we understand it to our intelligence and we follow. And then we see the results. That is how our faith increases. Faith increases. So that's why Arjuna is basically asking a question. Why did it happen? Okay, so two questions are there. Here are also some questions. Okay. Bhagavad is asking that we are not friends of Krishna. Friends of Krishna means having friendly disposition. Friendly disposition means in the sense that we are not envious. And we have something to relate with Krishna. Both things. One is we are not envious. Envious in the sense that we don't develop hatred or thinking, why Krishna is speaking like that, like that. Second thing is we also friendly disposition in the sense we have some relation with Krishna. But there is a particular sect of people who are called agnostics. Who are these agnostics? Agnostics are the people. Agnostics have nothing to do with God. You say Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, so they say, then what? So what? Krishna stays in Golok Vrindavan. Okay, let him stay there, let me stay here. How does it matter to me? So these are agnostics who have nothing to do with God. But we also have a relationship with Krishna. We want to develop relationship with Krishna. So in this way, that's called friendly disposition. Okay. And Vamakon proof. The general question people will ask why Krishna told Bhagavad Gita to only Arjuna, why not to Yudhishthira or older brothers? They also devotees only know. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he also spoke different things to different people also. Like he also spoke to Yudhishthira, which comes in Garuda Puran. Then you will find Ekadasi Mahatmya. Many places Krishna has spoken to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Krishna gave so much instruction to all the Pandavas also, together, so many places. Krishna spoke same knowledge to Uddhava in Uddhav Gita. In this way, it's not that Krishna speaks only to Arjuna, he speaks to so many other devotees. But certainly Arjuna was considered the best of the Pandavas and decided he had a greater devotion. Krishna also speaks to, no, there's Narada speaks to Yudhishthira Maharaj in 7th canto. Yeah. So this, and other thing is, Yudhishthira had dharma, but he didn't have enough skills. He was not like very powerful. He was not like too good in skills of military art. Bhima was very skilled, but he was lacking patience and goodness. Arjuna had both. Arjuna had cool mind and he was very skilled also. So that's why Arjuna is considered the best of the Pandavas. Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, then among all the Pandavas I am Arjuna. So, but the main reason is Krishna did speak to all the people, but he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna because Arjuna is constant companion of Krishna. Why did Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Because he always speaks Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna eternally. Why Krishna loves cows? Krishna loves cows eternally. Not that Krishna started loving cows at a particular point of time. Cows are eternal companions of Krishna. Why Krishna stays in Goloka? Because Golok Dham is eternal abode of Krishna. Similarly, Arjuna is constant companion of Krishna and they discuss Bhagavad Gita in different planets and they move around. So Arjuna is not an ordinary person. He is an eternal companion of Krishna who keeps on hearing Bhagavad Gita and discussing Bhagavad Gita with Krishna. Okay. Answered solid 9 o'clock. So there was some homework. I'll give the group work through your WhatsApp. Okay. And here, Bhagavad Gita ki, Gopad ki.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita.